Aloha everyone, and welcome to episode number 6 of Look at That There. I have decided to revise the Look at That There series temporarily, but don't worry everybody, it's still going to be very good and we're still going to have a lot of Look at That There's to look at that there at. But anyways, what I've basically done is, or going to do, starting with this video, is we're going to go back to May 3rd, and I'm going to use Google Earth, Google Street View, and the expansive library of images and videos that I have at my disposal. Scott from Pahoa Hawaii Tours has graciously volunteered his collection for me to use in this video series as well. So please, everybody tell him thank you, and head over to his channel. You can find a link in the description for him. So what we're going to do in this first episode of the revised Look at That There is we're going to go take a orientation overview of Leilani Estates, which is located in Pahoa, Hawaii. And we're going to basically just get familiar with the area, some of the streets, some of the landmarks, some of the basically locations of different features, like how Leilani Estates is positioned and located to Kilauea Volcano, Pu'u'o, the Rift Zone, things of that nature. So when we see all this imagery and all these photos and stuff, we'll kind of have a better idea of where we are and what it really is and what it all means based on this video perspective. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. And where else to start but the Pacific Ocean? Now you may ask, why the Pacific Ocean? Because like I said, I want you all to have some perspective. If you look there just above the middle of the screen to the right, you see those little dots and lines. That is the Hawaiian island chain. And the ocean, of course, is the Pacific Ocean. And as you can see from this perspective of about just under 9,000 miles above the Earth, the Pacific Ocean takes up the full visual disk. So that's why the Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean on planet Earth. And if you look at that there, pretty much right there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you see those little dots and lines. That is the Hawaiian island chain, or the state of Hawaii. And it is, for the most part, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, which is why Hawaii is one of the most isolated island chains. So let's go on down to Leilani Estates, and we're going to take a look at the general area around here. As you can see, pretty much right there in the middle of the screen is Leilani Estates subdivision. It is flanked on the north by Highway 132, on the west by Highway 130, and to the southeast, Highway 137, which runs the Puna coastline. And if you follow Highway 137 northward to where it meets Highway 132 running eastward, right there, that is Kapoho Crater, also where Green Lake was located, and is considered and is locally referred to as Four Corners. To the east or the right of that, you see that little bay inlet. That's Kapoho Bay, which is of course now gone. And that whole area of coastline on that particular side has been remodeled by Pele herself. Now, if we travel back on 132 to the west or left on your screens, you'll see that just above Leilani Estates to the north is Nanavali Estates. And if we keep moving west, 132 runs into Highway 130. They're at Pahoa at the high school, actually Pahoa High School. If we then turn left onto Highway 130 and travel south, which would be towards the bottom of your screen, we'd ultimately end up at 137 junction there in Kalapana. We're going to push in on Leilani Estates a little further now and look at just areas around it and some of the features within Leilani Estates, and some other little things that I think I'm going to point out in the process. Okay, the first thing I want to show you in Leilani, well, it's not quite in Leilani, it's right there on the edge, is this little feature right here. And let me adjust the view a little bit so we get a a better view of what's going on here. That's a little too much, I think, maybe. Okay, yeah, that's much better, I think. Okay, as you can see, this is a old cinder cone, and you know, if we all know what cinder cones do when they're born, they spew lava. And if we look at these particular spots, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 little pukas. By the way, puka is the Hawaiian word for hole. And of course, they've all got these built up ridges. So potentially, I don't know for sure, I'm just guessing here based on observation, that there was 4, you know, major fountains erupting here at some point in the past. But why I'm pointing out this feature is if you had watched the quick look video that I done with the 360 aerial of the area, I pointed this out as a unique feature on the horizon, and I said to remember it, that I was going to feature it in a upcoming video, and well, here we are. And the reason why is because here on the top of it is a house, which is really cool in my opinion. I can only imagine what the view from that house over that huge puka there all the way out to the ocean must look like. And of course, the sun rising in that direction, it's got to be one of the most beautiful sunrise locations in the area, I would think. So so that was that's I just thought that was a very unique look at that there. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it is pretty amazing to think that that was once a larger version, it looks like, compared to what we saw in Leilani here on, you know, with Fissure 8 at Luana and Leilani Avenue. So the other thing I want to point out here in this orientation is basically this area here. If we look at it, there is a hill right here in the middle, and on top of that hill is 5 houses, and this is the lower Kahokai, where it intersects with lower Leilani Avenue and Poiki Road. This is where the pig house is located, which is this white roof house location right there in the middle. That is the pig house. And down the street this way, that little white dot in there, that is the doghouse house location. These are references to two locations that we were monitoring in the beginning. This is also the same area that the first cracks appeared on May 3rd, which we will be visiting very shortly. And to answer a lot of people's questions, yes, the pig house is still there, and it's called Pig House because it's affectionately known as that because of an encounter between Scott with Apau Hawaii Tours and a pig that occurred there in that location. And the doghouse house is called the doghouse house because at the end of the driveway there at the road was a doghouse, and which was pretty cool too. And so that's this area. Now if we move up here, this is PGV, Puna Geothermal Venture. This was one of our geothermal power plants. There's some controversy surrounding that as well, but that's outside the scope of this video, so we'll skip past that. It was deactivated ahead of the eruptive activity as the lava began to approach it, and we knew that it was probably going to be in danger. However, it did survive the eruption for the most part. However, it is surrounded by lava. You can only get to it by helicopter at this point. I don't know of any current plans on trying to reactivate it or build a road into it. That you'd have to, you know, get with PGV, I guess. But so moving on in the orientation, let's see, what was there? I thought there was something else in Leilani I wanted to point out. I don't remember. Well, actually, there are some things, but that's going to be important at different parts in the video. What I want to point out over here real quick is this is the Four Corners area and Kapoho residential area. This crater here is Kapoho crater, where Green Lake was. This crater is surrounded by lava as well, and the lake is gone. It was boiled off by the lava that flowed into it. And this is Kapoho Bay. Right here, just on the northern top of it, was Champagne Ponds, and to the south here is the tidal pools, and that's all gone as well. Let's see, the warm ponds in Poiki. This is Poiki here to give you perspective to Kapoho. This is, of course, the warm ponds in the school. That is gone as well. Going down to, of course, Poiki, which the boat ramp and Isaac Holly Park survived for the most part, but the northeastern edge of it did get some lava flowing over it. And so, yeah, it's it's still there, but it's got that big black sandbar beach built across the harbor, so the boat ramp is intact and functional. It doesn't go anywhere except for this little pond. Okay, that'll pretty much do it for our orientation overview of Leilani Estates and some of the surrounding areas. Now what we're going to do for this last part, which is going to be really short because there's not a whole bunch to look at, but it is really the beginning of all of this that occurred starting on May 3rd. So on May 3rd, let me back up just a little bit. Prior to May 3rd, we noticed a bunch of earthquakes, and it was really interesting because it was, all day long, every day for days, and that was the earthquake storm moving down the rift zone, from Pu'uo'o towards Leilani, and you could see them on the earthquake maps just clustered at the end, and that clustering would just get further and further, closer and closer, towards Leilani and the surrounding areas as it moved down the rift. And as the cluster of quakes approached us, this is when we saw what started, which was, I guess, the first sign of what we were to experience for the following 3 months. Here by the pig house, actually, we saw the very first crack to occur. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down into Street View and take a look at the area. Okay, Street View put us facing the wrong direction, so let's turn it around. Okay, that is the pig house. And the first crack, actually, boy, I got that about right, was right here. Back up. Was right here by this telephone pole on the left, going across this, just before it, going across the street. And according to Google Earth, this imagery is from September 2011. Now we're going to move a little bit further down the street, and this is the actual area of the street where the first cracks actually appeared. I think I said the other area was, but what I meant to say there, that was where the big crack was. This is the first area, and here are the photographs, some of the very first photographs of these cracks that appeared on May 3rd, 2018. At first there didn't seem to be much change or any heat or anything coming out of them, but that was soon to change because by the next morning this appeared. And of course other cracks around the subdivision were also discovered in the roads. Little did we know at the time that they were literally outlining the fissure eruption area. And finally we come to the after. Look at that there. If you look to your right middle side of the screen, you see that brown patch in the middle of all the black. That is the pig house hill. And as you can see, the pig house and the other houses surrounding it and the ones across the street are still there. It's what, I believe 5 houses still there, but unfortunately there is absolutely no way to get to them except for by helicopter at this point. Now remember, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and don't forget the bell icon so you can get notifications of new videos. Also, don't forget to check out the links in the description to my Redbubble account, where you can get some really great graphics on t-shirts, mugs, and things of that nature. And if you really want to help the channel, don't forget to check out my Patreon and become a patron over there. And I really do appreciate everything, and I really hope that y'all have a fantastic, absolutely amazingly fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening.